Long ago, when the world was bright and full of stories, an evil wizard gained the power to touch the face of God. Narrativa, goddess of stories and weaver of our world, banished him to the void, but not before he stole a piece of her divine essence. With this newfound power, the wizard lay a dread curse upon all the world, the Glyph Purge, which struck from the minds of all mortals the knowledge of how to read and write. Now, all that stand between the Isle of Meotia and an age of endless ignorance are the bards, who tell stories of distant lands, exotic creatures, and brave heroes. This is one such tale.
Hello and welcome to Challenge Rating Zero, the latest and greatest Dungeons & Dragons podcast to hit the internet airwaves. I am Sam, your Dungeon Master, and I am joined, for better or worse, by my longtime friends and adventuring companions for this very special episode.
Worse.
Hello, I'm Brian, and I play Hector the Gatekeeper.
Allegedly.
Maybe. Hi. Hi, I'm Beth, and I'm sitting a foot away from Sam. Whoa! Also, I play Rilla.
Hey, I'm Alex, and tonight, and probably some nights in the future, I will be playing Ruger Firehad.
And last but not least, on this very special, perhaps lost episode, there's the man that calls himself Michael, but who we just keep calling Parker. Michael Parker playing the Druid Zurabak. Say hi, Parker.
Hi, Parker.
Fantastic. We are joined once again for a tale of epic fantasy. Things are a little wild here at Challenge Rating Zero. I think things are a little turbulent here at Flying Dwarf Production Studios, LLC headquarters. There's.
That is technically true. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're a fucking business, man. It's all.
No, I mean more than my house is HQ. Technically.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, you don't want to dox yourself like that, but sure, we'll keep that in. Listeners, if you just want to look up some court filings, I'm sure that's great. What were we doing? Dungeons & Dragons.
Are we? I remain unconvinced.
I'm fairly certain on the better for worse scale, we're on the worse.
We're deep into the worst right
this
now.
is so we have currently experienced what I would call a cascade of complications with recording in general. We're trying to stick it out and just bring the the highest quality content we can to our devoted fans and listeners. Right now, Beth and I are recording in the same place, which we don't do ever. We're right next to each other on the same microphone, if you can believe it. And we're just trying to make it work. I spilled water on a bunch of stuff before we even started,
Which is usually my job.
Yeah. I'm getting like secondhand clumsy, so it's pretty good. Yeah, I think everyone else is chill though. Everyone else is doing good in their own little setups.
My baby
There's
stopped
a,
crying.
there's a
so
fly in the room with me, and it's been here all day, and I've been trying to get it, and now it's just taunting me.
Does it have any problematic views that we could use for clickbait? Could you put her on the microphone? Is that...
What is happening right now?
No, but it is Jeff Goldblum.
Well, that's good. He's getting into... He's already on another D&D podcast. I don't know if he's going to have time for ours. Well, we're joined once again for a tale of epic fantasy. When last we left our heroes...
Why is it always epic fantasy? Why not mediocre fantasy?
Well, today might be mediocre fantasy. We're going to have to see what it looks like when we get to the end of the episode. I'm not ruling that out.
He is going to kill us before the
mediocre's on the
session is
table.
done.
Hey, you can't kill us physically. You can kill our characters, though.
Well,
This
Sitting right next to him, man.
Yeah,
this
good luck.
episode's going to be more of a... this episode's going to be more of a dream ballet, I think. We're gonna
a what?
just play around with some themes.
I
Obviously
get that reference. I'm a reference getter, and I get it.
There you
Bottle
go.
episode where we're just going to be sitting in the office the entire time.
Yeah.
The door locked. Uh-oh.
when last we left our heroes, Hector, Rilla Zurabak, and the lawman Ruger Firehide had finally made their way to the Ashen Islands. Using the portals provided by the College of Everspring, our heroes found themselves on the outskirts of Garu, the largest of the Ashen Islands, a string of volcanic islands off the mainland of Myosha, ruled by pirates. They were surprised to find, as soon as they touched down on these precarious and nefarious islands, that they were accosted by a group of Knights of the Pyre, riding an impossibly large beast, one of the many enormous animals that makes the Ashen Islands their home. Through some quick thinking, some illusion magic, and just a bang-up disguise, our heroes were able to avoid direct conflict with the Knights of the Pyre and eventually made contact with an agent of the college, a local named Pretty Polly, a goblin and pirate captain, along with Pretty Polly's first mate, Mrs. Fisher, a towering ogress, who led them into the Shattered Shoals, a conflagration of broken pirate ships built up into a sort of man-made reef, where they discovered the inhabitants of the island of Garu have been misplaced and are now refugees of a sort, hiding out from the ruinous whims of the Queen of the Ashen Islands, Letitia Aurelius Skullsplitter. Pretty Polly had quite the tale to tell our heroes, one of the people of Garu being driven out of their homes and off the island proper by a small army of Knights of the Pyre who have very recently made a home on the island themselves, worshipping the volcano and serving at the whim of the Queen of the Pirate Isles. Our heroes, who have journeyed here to retrieve a spell component, namely a knife that can cut through reality, forged from the fires of that very volcano, have now become embroiled in a bit of politics, as it turns out that Zurabak, the dreaded druid, is actually of noble blood. Algernon Emilius Skullsplitter, the king in exile, an older brother to Letitia Aurelius Skullsplitter. And so we join our heroes now in the private study of Pretty Polly in the Shattered Shoals, as our heroes have just learned this stunning news. So Pretty Polly looks at you all and says, "Yarg, well, you've all got quite a bit of work in front of you. We'll lend you any aid we can, though most of our might was shattered when the Knights of the Pyre drove us from the island. If you mean to make landfall on Garu and make your way to the palace and the volcanic vent underneath, it'll be a bit tricky. You have any way to travel over the waters between here and Garu? I don't suppose you brought any ships with you."
No, sir.
I mean, I can become a mermaid, but the rest of them are screwed.
Oh, I should probably pull up my spell book.
I'm a really good swimmer.
I'm a passable swimmer.
Zurback shrugs.
Well, I suppose I could lend a bit of aid in that regard. Mrs. Fisher got her name from, well, her ability to pull in quite the big catch. We use the animals around here for quite a bit, including transportation. I could have Mrs. Fisher wrangle you a large, probably deadly, perhaps man-eating creature of the sea for you to ride across the waves, if you can tame such a beast.
That sounds perfect. We'll take 3, 4, 1 for each.
Oh, lad, that's hilarious. You'll only need the one. They get rather big around here. Well, Mrs. Fisher, let's say we get to it. and this enormous ogre standing behind Pretty Polly in his wood-paneled study just sort of grunts, and you hear the clinking of chains as she gathers her enormous anchor with its chains in her fist and walks to the massive sliding door of this study, pulls it open, and begins walking through the hallways of the Shattered Shoals, making her way to the surface. What do you all do?
I follow her.
I also follow her.
I put the stricken back in the bag and I follow her.
You hear a very disgruntled, "Oof, oof."
Beth?
What does Rilla do?
I mean, I guess I follow. It's fine. I could still just do some reconnaissance, but I'd probably just die. So yeah. And I've used a couple of my bigger spells. I wouldn't mind taking a sleep before we do this shit, but it's whatever.
I mean,
I'll just leave you guys and run away if need be.
If you all need to rest, Polly says, if rest is what you're needing, you're more than welcome to find it here before you head to the island.
Yeah, can we just say we wait a day? Because then I have all my spells back.
I mean,
yeah,
I'm willing to catch a couple Z's and contemplate the fiery fucking future of this island.
But we literally just got here. Literally. I want to explode the volcano.
I did turn into another person and stop a fight from happening, you know?
Well, whose fault is that?
I think it's yours, King Zurabak. Technically. I mean, this is your fucking land, right?
I still think that's bullshit.
I agree with the hammer.
Aw.
It's rather endearing.
not to be that guy, but technically it's King Algernon Skullsplitter. But, you know, that's just me. I'll show you to some rooms if you need to rest. And Pretty Polly gets up and exits the study and leads you down a couple winding corridors and shows you to a giant cargo hold. The remnants of another one of these smashed ships. But this is a surprisingly large room. It soars some 40 feet by 40 feet. And there's a bunch of pallets on the floor and a bunch of hammocks strewn up, hammered into the splintery and somewhat waterlogged wood of this ship. It's like, you're inside the smashed corpse of an ancient sailing vessel. And he says, "Y'all can bed down here for the night. I'll make sure no one bothers you."
Before I go to sleep, I look for the refugees with the 6 most busted items, and I cast 6 mending spells if I can.
Well, that's very nice.
I then break those items.
Oh.
No, you don't. I will start a magic fight right now.
On your way to the this cargo hold where you are to bed down for the evening, you pass by a couple of refugees who are holding broken lockets and some pottery. There's a broken doll that a kid is holding, this little kobold kid, and you fix them all up. Zurback breaks 6 other different things to sort of karmically balance it, but not specifically the ones you fixed. You guys hit the hay. As you are all sleeping, you all have very vivid dreams.
Dream ballet.
I wasn't fucking around, man. Run a full encounter on this fucking table.
It's a very important component of my character that Hector doesn't have dreams.
Which is why it's so odd that specifically now you specifically do have them. Several.
Wow.
So you all from the outside are like tossing and turning and kind of sweating as you sleep, and you all have incredibly vivid dreams that get pretty gnarly. Hector, you are traveling through the gate, this towering mountain range that you've called home since the day you were born. You are striding masterfully through this frozen and incredibly high altitude landscape. There's snowdrifts and boulders all around you, and the wind is howling and tearing at you. But you've been here your entire life, and you don't even shiver in the cold. But as you are walking, you hear a call in the distance that sounds very familiar. You chase after it, the snow getting deeper and deeper as you pump your legs, trying to get to the source of this cry, and you see eventually, as you are struggling through now waist-high snow, your father, Rufus, the chief of the Gatekeeper clan. He is pinned under a boulder that has seemingly fallen on him from a great height. You see his leg is smashed underneath this, and he is calling desperately for your aid. As you rush to reach him, the snow gets deeper and deeper. It gets up to your chest. You can see your hands are starting to turn blue and then black with frostbite, even as you struggle with all of your might against this overwhelming pile of snow. And even as you look, your father starts to turn blue, and then that horrible blackness starts to creep from his shattered leg up through his torso until it reaches the base of his neck, and frostbite slowly takes over him and freezes his mouth in a horrid bellow that is your name. And that call echoes in your head as you wake up with a start. Ruger Firehide, you are in a blizzard that you quickly realize is not snow but ash, much like the ashes you found yourself awash in when you first got to the Ashen Isles. But you recognize this ash that falls around you, and the vista before you swirls and resolves itself into a horrifically familiar sight. Grimm's Hollow is burning. Its church has caved in, and in the rubble there is a twisted and burned form. And as you reach in to drag it out, it turns around and grabs you, wreathed in flame. The charred and burned fingers of your daughter digging into the lapels of your duster as she pulls you towards her half-burned face and shrieks a wordless cry that vibrates your eardrums as she claws at your eyes and mouth, rending your flesh with these burning skeletal hands, and you awake with a start in your bed. Rilla, you are hunting in the Springvale Forest with your younger sister. You have taken down an entire buck all by yourself before your sister even knew it was there. You can't seem to miss. Your sister's getting a little frustrated as you guys continue on your way hunting, and she shoves you. And you fall backwards into a thorn bush. You've done this a million times. You stand up and start to pick the thorns free, but one thorn in particular doesn't come out. It's stuck in the crook of your elbow, on the inside of your arm. And you realize that it's not just a thorn, it's a syringe. And it's connected to a vial, and your blood is seeping out into the vial. And then you realize that you're not standing up in the forest, you're sitting down in a chair, in the laboratory of the elders of your village. And there's another syringe pouring more blood into another vial in your other arm. And then there's one in your leg, and one in your neck, and one in your chest. And the needles pierce deeper and deeper, and your blood flows out in stronger and stronger waves until you are consumed by darkness, seeing only the cackling faces of the village elders as they collect your blood in giant buckets, screaming that it is your duty. And you wake up with a start. Zurabak, you are hunting in the Briar Marsh. You are striding on your own legs, loping on arms and legs. Your fangs sharp, your claws digging into the soil as you run down an enormous alligator. And as you reach it and your claws start to rip into its tough hide, they snap off of your hands. You try to slash it with your other hand, and those claws snap off too, ripping free bloodily from the tips of your fingers as they lodge themselves in the hide of this alligator. You dive in with your enormous razor-sharp fangs, and they fall out of your skull as you try to devour this creature. You try to wrap your powerful arms around its neck, and the strength leaves your muscles. You can't lift your own head up as this alligator snatches you in its jaws and starts to death roll you. You see the sky and the earth tumble over and over each other as you are flung helplessly in the jaws of a larger predator that your strength and ferocity cannot even begin to fight. And you blink and open your eyes, and the alligator is now a human in an alligator coat, and they are holding a chain leading to a collar that is around your neck, and they are dragging you through your druid circle, and all of the mighty beasts that raised you laugh at your weakness, and you wake up with a start. You all snap to consciousness at pretty much the exact same time, sweating, hearts racing. You all look around at each other. What do you all do?
So this room is partially flooded, right?
No. This room's chill.
Okay.
There's like a bucket of water for you.
Yeah, then I go to the bucket of water to splash my face and arms.
Yeah. There is a little bit of soot on the lapels of your coat, Ruger. Almost like a handprint.
I sit with my back against the wall, just on the ground, kind of, I don't know, shivering a little bit, and I start fishing for a cigarette in my coat.
Hector, how you feeling?
I think Hector stays quiet and just tries to put on the brave face and act like the dream he just had didn't affect him as much as it did.
There is just the smallest bit of what you could swear is melted snow inside one of your boots.
Hector falls out of his hammock.
Rilla, how you feeling?
As soon as I wake up, I'm shoving the sleeves up on my outfit and checking for new puncture wounds, because there are certainly some old ones.
There is a thorn sticking out of the crook of your arm.
Oh, I try to rip it out immediately.
It comes right out. It's a very small thorn, but it does leave a small line of blood trickling down your arm.
What the fuck?
Zurabak, how you feeling?
He turns over and goes back to sleep, whispering, "Stupid crocodile man, I'll bite you."
Yeah, I did what I could, you guys. It just I did what that's all I have.
You got more than a shrug. I mean, I call that a victory.
That's true. I got any reaction at all. Yeah, for Zurabek, that's like crying his eyes out. Like
he acknowledged the crocodile man.
I cast Detect Magic.
That's a good call. So you all kind of wake up in your beds and you're flailing at yourselves, except Zurabak, who just jumps over. But yeah, you all see Ruger pressed against the wall, like fumbling for a cigarette as he's like brushing frantically at his coat, and you see Hector like dumping shit out of his boots and trying to act chill, and you see Rilla flailing at a thorn in her arm. Do you all? What do you all do?
I hop out of bed and I run out of the room because I'm looking for those old bastards. Is what I do.
Do you say anything as you run out of the room?
I'm just like, those motherfuckers better not have followed me, and I just start charging for the door.
I gotta be honest, I don't even think Ruger notices. I'm a little shell shocked.
And
gotcha.
Hector casts Detect Magic.
I gotcha. Really, you get to the door and look out, and there's no one there. And Ruger's having a little freak in. And Hector, you cast Detect Magic, and besides the magical items that belong to you and your companions, you do not detect any out of place magical auras or effects in the vicinity of your spell.
Don't worry, guys. It's not magic. Our dreams are supposed to be becoming real.
You hear a muffled at that, and the bag next to Zurabak starts to shuffle around a little bit.
Okay, so at that, Ruger snaps to awareness, jumps to his feet, marches over to that bag, rips it open. I mean, not tearing the bag, but, violently opening the...
He lives in there, goddammit, come on!
And I reach in and pull that sad sack of shit out.
You rip the stricken out of the fucking burlap sack that keeps him in. And, he blinks his big blue eyes at you and tosses his shock of white hair. He stares at you over his huge beak of a nose. Sounds like you've all had a bad night. Dreams?
Don't you get fucking ominous with me, Stricken. What the fuck was that?
That is the enemy we are fighting against. I wondered how long it would take for them to notice you all in particular. I'm honestly a bit surprised it took this long for them to reach out to you. Back when I was a god, I reached out to my followers and my enemies on the material plane through their dreams and nightmares. It would seem that the Lord Deceiver, who usurped me, who stole my cult, who stole the strand of Narrativa's hair from me, is doing the same.
I swing at him like an alarm clock, trying to muffle the noise.
You swat his ass as like Ruger is like holding him up off of his feet. Oh.
So it's not real.
Seemed pretty real to me, I said, and like dropped the, what was it, not a thistle, the burr?
Yeah, a
down on
little
the ground?
thorn, yeah.
I think we have to go deeper.
Christ, Brian. Christ on a bike.
Wear your helmet.
You ask if you say it's not real. The Stricken says, I never claimed it wasn't real. You have to understand. The Lord Deceiver has the thing that gave me my powers, has the thing that made me a god. They can reach you, they can manipulate you, they can hurt you.
Luckily, I canonically do not dream.
That makes it even more impressive that this happened, right? Because you canonically totally do that.
I throw the stricken
Weird.
down on the ground. I just push him away a little bit. Son
Sure.
of a bitch.
No, I walk over and I pick him up and I throw him down.
I try to help stop Hector.
Stop being gentle.
Is there any defense against this?
I might be able to assist you with guarding your dreams. It's no easy feat, but I've dabbled in magics like this even before I became a god. I'll think on it. I cannot promise to bring you any reprieve soon. I'd expect to, have a few rough nights ahead. These spells can do real damage in the real world. And if they go on unabated, if you've garnered the undivided attention of the Lord Deceiver, the consequences could be dire. Just one more threat facing our protagonists.
Haunted my dreams. I strike a cigarette in one fell swoop.
It's like your mood ring.
Well, it's easy. We just don't sleep.
I canonically don't sleep anyway.
Yeah, that's weird with elves. Oh my god, was that your first dream? Oh my god.
It was my first weird hallucination. Let's go with that.
There you go.
That's what dreams are.
It is just as the Stricken ends his little diatribe that the door to this cargo hold you're in pops open and Polly.
I throw an axe.
Oh god.
Oh.
Roll an attack roll, I guess, if this is what we're doing.
I don't.
Okay, fantastic. You turn as if to throw an axe. You got one cocked and ready to go.
Yeah.
But you see that it's pretty Polly who comes in. He smiles and twirls that large ruby earring hanging from his floppy goblin ear. He says, well, I hope y'all had a good chance to rest. Mrs. Fisher's caught quite the prize. Should be something big enough to take y'all to the Isle of Garu. You can get your work done.
Oh, right. Did we make a plan for what we're doing at all? Or are we just winging this?
Volcano.
I do believe the official plan is to usurp the queen and blow up a volcano.
I
We'll just blow up the volcano.
I take a seat on the ground with my back against the wall again. I just
don't
take
think
a
we
seat.
want to. No blowing up a volcano. Let's not do that.
I
'Cause then we
second
have
this
to
plan.
outrun an exploding volcano, and I'm not into that.
Polly looks at you all and says, y'all, I suppose there wasn't much talk of what the plan might be. Now that I think about it for just one entire second. Well, here's what you're looking at. You'll need to get on the island itself. Now, we've secured quite a whopper to take you across the waters between our tiny island and Garu itself. The entire island is swarming with Knights of the Pyre riding those giant animals who've been cursed by the void or whatever. You'll need to fight your way through them or sneak around them. Being that there's only 4 of you, be quite a battle between the beaches and the castle that the Skull Splitter family calls home. Then you'll need to get inside the castle itself, an obsidian fortress, guarded now by more Knights of the Pyre as well as some cultists of the Stricken. You'll need to either talk the Queen out of this current plan of action or kill her, if that be your preference, and then find your way to the dungeons to get yourself some of that magma. If you're wanting to take care of all these animals being infected with the void, you'll need to figure out what's doing that and take care of that as well. Oh, I know not what that could be. If you're wanting to get on the island, we've got a couple things in your favor. The ash storms will cover anyone going, especially by the sea. And the Knights of the Pyre don't like water very much, as it turns out. So, a sea approach might be your safest bet. And if you need a distraction, maybe to lure some of the knights out of your path, well, I could scare up a few of the boys and girls here in the shoals to strike up a bit of a fuss. Now that we have the King in Exile here to rally the troops, I'm sure I could get quite a few people to stage a bit of an assault. We're not going to be storming any gates, but we could draw the heat off of you long enough for you to get to the palace itself. What you do from there, well, that's up to you. Do you have any questions or any plans you need to finalize before I head out? What are your plans?
Blow up a volcano.
Right. That'll definitely change the landscape a bit.
My plan is to stop Zerback from doing that. No, that's my plan.
Good luck.
I take a long drag of my cigarette and just rub my forehead.
We should figure out where we assume there's something similar to the void spike involved here. We should figure out where that is, and that will help us decide whether or not blowing up the volcano is our best bet of destroying that.
Also, Pretty Polly knows exactly how to access the lava stream, and I'm not sure if maps are acceptable in this world, but if we could talk through how to get there with him before we go. So we just have rough directions.
I do know the palace like the back of me hand. I'll draw you a little map. And he starts, he gets a piece of charcoal and some parchment, and he starts scribbling a little diagram. For the record, maps are possible. Nothing can be labeled on them. It's just it can't be like, go here, take 3 steps, but it can.
You can draw a picture though, right?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, he gives you a little picture of.
If it gets a little bit too close to language, it just melts away.
Yeah, pretty much. Not that you could get there anyway. Yeah. So he says, if you're wanting to get down to the dungeons where the lava do flow, and the 3 gates they use to release the pressure of the lava, there is a vent on the outside of the palace that leads to the queen's personal sauna. She uses the heat of the volcano to create steam for her steam baths. You can follow the steam vents, and if you don't get burned alive in there, that'll lead you to the steam room, which will lead you to the private baths, which you can take eventually down to the dungeons. That'll get you past most of the defenses.
Rilla changes into her desert robes as he talks about how hot it's gonna be. Like, immediately.
Different kind of hot, but I see where you're coming from.
Hey, anything that might help, man.
Sigh. Ugh, we're gonna blow up a volcano.
Yep.
If you're wanting to blow up the volcano, you gotta drop all 3 gates in the dungeons. If there's nothing to relieve the pressure, it'll build up inside the mountain itself and blow its top.
I really don't want to do that, because then we die. Probably.
It won't
We're
be gentle.
protagonists. It'll be fine.
Oh, God.
Now, I've asked you lot to get a little entangled with the local politics here, and obviously with the king in exile taking back the throne for the true people of Garu, we're willing to give y'all pretty long, rope on this, but I would like to point out that blowing up an entire volcano is going to change the terrain a bit, perhaps destroy some homes more than they already are.
Everyone lives there, too, so you're, like, ruining...
Yeah, we all of our shit's there, and we all sort of live there, and...
Yeah, it's fine.
It's
Probably a bad move to
well-
live under an active volcano.
Unless you vent it out so it doesn't erupt. We're getting lost in semantics here. I'm obviously not going to stop you from doing anything.
I think everyone turned to evil except perhaps Brugger and I. Just the image has gotten too much into Hector is who I'm talking about. I think this image just delighted him too much.
We have to destroy the voids. That's the evil.
yeah.
Blowing up a volcano to stop the evil. That's what this
We're
is.
throwing the ring in so he doesn't ever get it again.
Yeah, we're throwing the ring in.
Let's just be open to other possibilities instead of assuming
We're blowing up the mothership, you know?
I flick away my cigarette in disgust.
What be your problem there, mate?
Well, there's a void spike and giant void beasts and an active volcano, which I should mention is it's a personal fucking nightmare. Zerbeck is in fact actually royalty, which is also, as it turns out, a personal fucking nightmare. So, things aren't going great. And,
Also Knights of the Pyre.
also Knights of the Pirate. Thank you, Rilla, for reminding me of how much I hate those guys. I'm having shitty-ass nightmares.
Alternatively...
This is just... It's really not a good time right now.
Alternatively, we get to fight and kill a whole bunch of Knights of the Pyre along our adventure.
That's...
Huh? We get to foil their plans.
Yeah.
They're mediocre
Climb
at best
into the bag
plan.
of holding, and then Rutherford can have us all hooked around his collar, and then he'll just stroll into the palace.
The fun thing about that is there's several different ways that won't work. there's like a couple of them.
All right. Well, let's just consider for a moment our actual objectives here, which are, as best as I can understand it, as follows. We need to deal with a void spike, which means we first need to find the void spike. We also, for the most part, want to be trying to avoid the Knights of the Pyre where we can help it, which means I think we take Polly's idea of a water passage to Garu, and I don't know, I'm going to leave it up, dare I say, to Zurabak to decide what to do with the good queen. And as far as blowing up
Probably
a
lava.
volcano, I think we
Or
can
void
save
spike.
that for another day. We just need the magma out of the vent to make the damn knife. We'll refrain.
That's
to
true.
destroy a void spike.
We don't really have to get rid of anything. We could just get this.
We need to
and
destroy the
leave.
void spike. So we need to find it and we need to destroy it. How we're gonna destroy it remains to be seen. I agree with Rilla's stance that perhaps blowing up and nuking the whole fucking island is not the first best choice. But ultimately, we are gonna have to figure out how to do it.
It's there.
Hector,
But it's there, and we should all acknowledge that we know that
Hector-
it's there and how to do
Hector,
it now.
buddy.
We've
like
been
the
given
Chekhov's
instructions
gun
on
thing?
how to do it.
Like, it's been introduced, so it has to be used, and that's why Brian keeps hitting this. Is that what's going
I
on
think
now?
Hector got a taste when he blew up a clock tower, and he.
Like what? I have to top that. We have to top.
I knew it.
We have to top that to destroy this void spike. It's important, narratively speaking, that the next time we destroy a void spike, it's bigger and more explosive than the
You know
time
what's an
before.
amazing narrative twist is when the hero turns evil.
Well, no one ever considered that Hector and Zurabak would get so drunk on special effects that they'd just be like, how do we blow that shit up? How do we walk away from that explosion like two cool guys with sunglasses on? And you'll maybe die because it's a volcano.
You'll die. Don't put maybe
No,
in there because
we're
you'll survive.
Fine.
You'll die.
Protagonist.
We'll find something
Okay.
that
That's
flies.
That's my favorite thing about this plan is that you guys seem to think that you're gonna remote start a
Don't-
volcano while not being in literally the heart of it, which is my favorite.
Don't you
part.
guys me, because we're not all a singular team right now. There happens to be some strong.
I can't wait to see how you do it. That's all I'm saying.
All I'm saying is that Hector needs to think long and hard about, yes, maybe we are protagonists, and maybe that will give us some special magical plot armor. But the people of this island, the ecosystem of this island, Zurabak's own people, are not going to be sheltered by that same armor. So,
And it will be a tragedy.
oh my god. I detect evil.
Brian is now evil.
I detect evil. I do that.
Yeah, Brian is evil. This is true.
I detect evil. I do it. Zurabak's evil. I know.
You detect. I was gonna say you detect an evil aura, and it is.
Is
Zurabak.
Hector wavering
It
even a
is-
little? Is there like a flicker? I don't know.
Well, Hector
No.
hasn't actually done any bad.
He's just
shit.
talking shit.
Just speaking
Yeah,
evil.
alright, fine.
Yeah,
Fine. I'm keeping an eye on you, Hector.
yeah. Zurabak's evil is.
No, I
fuck.
know.
It leaves a bad taste in your
I
mouth.
know. I'm a
Yeah, but this is the first time you have like confirmed proof. I think, with your paladin skills of detecting evil.
I don't know that we know.
I assume that tastes like ash, which leads me to start working on a second cigarette.
So Polly looks at you all and says, "All right, so do you got a plan, or what are we doing, or what? The first step's gonna be getting you to the island, and we can do that. So,
Well,
do you want to
yeah,
go to the
let's
island?
get to the island. Our first plan will be to try and
Zurabak.
find the void spike.
Can you do that thing where, like you did before, where the birds didn't notice you for all of us when we were out with the first void spike?
Zerback looks at her very confused. What?
You know the thing where like the ravens were attacking and then you were like invisible to them? That thing?
Zerback doesn't do invisible.
They didn't notice you. Whatever you call that.
They feared me.
Can you do it for all of us? Is the question. Could we be too terrifying for these monsters?
I don't know. You're not very scary. Maybe grow some tusk. Maybe a horn.
I mean, I can do that whenever I want to, dude.
Do it.
I don't want to waste my spells.
Fuck it.
I literally just slept for that reason. Like, fuck. Just pretend I did.
So, we got this big fish out there for y'all to take to the island. If you just wanted to, are we doing this walk-in or what? How are we? How are we feeling about that?
Hector sprints outside to meet our new best friend.
Do the rest of you follow?
Yeah.
I put the stricken back in the bag because someone keeps letting him out.
Yeah, it's not my finest moment, but it's been a rough day. Yeah, I shuffle after Polly, but I'm not happy. I just need it to be known for the record.
And I'm like, okay, so how are we going to take these two out if we have to not die? Like, I just stay back and quietly talk to Ruger. Like, what's our backup plan?
Yeah.
So as factions are forming before we even get to the island, like an episode of Survivor, you guys stride through the halls of the Shattered Shoals. These tunnels comprised of the wreckage of countless ships smashed against the rocks of this small island, and eventually you come to a very large ladder that is open to the sky. You follow Polly up its length, and you are on another small island. It is a small chunk of rock that is a couple 100 feet away from the other small chunk of rock that you came in on through the portal when you first got here. Visibility is kind of shit because there is another ash storm brewing. Giant clouds of ash in huge gray flakes fall all around you, but you do see towering at the very edge of this small island the form of Mrs. Fisher, who is hauling on this enormous anchor chain as if she is pulling in some large catch. Polly goes, "Have you got something for us, Mrs. Fisher?" And Mrs. Fisher goes, "Big fish," and strains with all of her might, her muscles bulging against the black sails that she uses as clothing. And you all see through a swirl of wind that parts the ash cloud around you that she has hooked an enormous armor-plated shark that is thrashing against this anchor that she uses as a makeshift fishing hook. It is caught firmly in its mouth, and it is writhing with all of its might. This fucker is like 40 feet long. It is the size of a small boat. Its fin sticking out of the water along with its eyes and mouth, and it is just pulling as hard as it fucking can against this anchor chain. And as you watch, she's slowly pulling it in. Polly looks at you all and says, "Yar, that's our Fisher, all right. Now, we got the beast. I don't suppose any of you know how to sweet talk a shark, do you? That's gonna be your best way of getting to Garu."
I roll my fucking eyes so hard. I roll my fucking eyes so hard.
Another one added to my kingdom. Zerback cracks his knuckles.
I groan audibly in the background.
You crack your knuckles, and what do you do, Zerbeck?
Throw that wild empathy shit at it.
Roll it.
First, I'm looking up the. I think it was druid level in charisma.
Indeed.
Oh, okay.
So Zerbeck, I'm going to say that you wade out into the waters a bit to get a little closer to this thing. The anchor chain that Mrs. Fisher is using is pretty long, and this thing's still kind of a ways out. But you jump out into the surging surf, worked up to this horrible dingy like lather because of all the ash falling on the water, and you swim your way out there, kind of pulling yourself along by this anchor chain to where this shark is thrashing, and you try to fucking Vulcan mind meld with it. Roll your wild empathy check, sir.
What level are we?
You should be level
8.
8.
Okay. I didn't know if I updated that or not. Let's see. And my charisma is a stately 1. +1.
I can't believe you have +1 to your charisma. It should be -6. You're such a dick.
Yeah.
You are such a dick that +1 to charisma means you're kind of pretty, because none of that is inside. None of that is inside.
People
beauty.
love
that
me.
means you're like a little pretty, just a little bit, which is wild.
But makes sense if he's from royalty. At some point, there might be some attractive breeding that
He's got a bit of a noble bearing, even when he's covered in shit, which he often is.
He has excellent posture.
He can balance 3 skulls on top of his head and not have them fall off.
I lost my math because of that. 17 + 9.
That is a lot. That's 26. It's pretty fucking good. So yeah, Zerbeck, you go out there and you are able to tame this savage beast thrashing against this hook. You haul yourself out of this anchor chain, and what does it look like as you tame this thrashing dire shark? This fucking megalodon with armor plating in between its fins.
I punch it.
You punch it right in the nose, and it immediately stops thrashing, recognizing you as the alpha, which doesn't work with sharks, but that's just what happens. You haul yourself out of this anchor chain like through the surf, and you just punch this thing right in its nose, and it immediately stops thrashing. You pull the anchor out of its mouth, and climb up on top of it, and this thing is now your bud. Congratulations, you have soothed the savage beast. Back on the shore of this tiny island, you all see Zerbeck swim out, punch a shark in the nose, and then get on top of it. And Zerbeck, you see as you turn back to the island to regard your friends, they're not the only ones on that island. A couple other of these refugees from Garu have streamed up after your fucking companions. There's like 20 or 30. A mix of kobolds, bugbears, orcs, a couple ogres, the smattering of creatures that live on Garu. They've all piled up on this island behind your friends and Pretty Polly. And as you tame this creature, a cry goes up, "All hail the king in exile! All hail King Algernon!"
I squint at them real hard.
No one can see that.
He tames the savage beasts. He's here to lead us back to the promised land.
You want to eat him, shark?
The shark just, I don't know, growls? I don't know what sharks do. Now you got me on my back. I don't know what sharks do. The shark thrashes fitfully underneath your powerful half-orc thighs. But yeah, like a cheer goes up. Polly looks back at all these motherfuckers. He's like pumping up. It's like, "Aye, that's right. The king in exile. It's not just a legend. He's back before us, King Algernon. The Skull Splitter line is not dead." And they'll start fucking cheering. Someone pulls out like an accordion and a fiddle, and they start doing like a jig. They're on the beach.
All right, I leave at that point.
Hector,
I'm done.
I was gonna Hector sighs and dives into the water.
I was hoping y'all would. I'm not gonna stop.
Zerbeck was already preparing to leave without everybody.
Yeah. Zerbeck shifts the shark into neutral. You guys all swim out and get on this shark. I assume.
Yeah, I think I might be crying. I'm not certain.
Don't worry, it's just the rain. Tears in the rain.
Aww.
Yeah, so Zurabek, you get on, the rest of your party all swims out and climbs onto this shark. And, Zurabek
Hurry up,
drops
Snake.
that shit into gear.
What do we want to name our shark?
Shark. I'd also accept Mr. Bitey.
That's so Algernon. You don't want a floral name to go with your fine royal name.
Algernon's dead. Yeah! I kicked the shark into gear.
The shark whinnies like a warhorse for some fucking reason. It doubles up and shoots across the waves, its powerful tail lashing the ocean surf as you dart off from the small chain of islands skirting Garu and the Shattered Shoal that butts up against it. You find yourself out
We're going towards the volcano, right?
You are. He's asking y'all. Who's...
I'm
Yes.
just looking off.
We are going towards the
I'm
volcano.
looking at it dejectedly. I'm just looking at the volcano as it gets ever closer, just with sorrow playing on my face.
Yeah, as this enormous dire shark carves through the water like a missile, you all see the swirling clouds of ash part, and once again you have this apocalyptic view of the Isle of Garu coming ever closer. This enormous tower of black stone with an open cauldron at the top, bubbling with molten lava and sending a shaft of black ash directly into the heavens, radiating out into these terrible storm clouds, the fury of the volcano's activity, making lightning flash and thunder bark in this plume of black smoke. The island's base is covered with lush jungle, giant palm trees, and dense trees and underbrush provide a lush counterpoint to this enormous black, nearly obelisk shooting out of the ocean before you. And you see that a lot of these trees, even this far distant, are shaking, as if large forms are moving amongst them. You all need to roll me some spot checks as you make your way across the ocean towards the Isle of Garu that is looming ever larger in your sight.
13.
21. 21. Yeah.
Spot is that 18 plus 14.
32.
That's 4, I think.
Ruger, your keen eyes spot a shadow that you can barely make out through the swirling clouds of ash that are covering your approach, bringing this island into view and then out of view under these swirling banks of gray. You spot a shadow in the sky that seems to be coming towards you. Zurabak, you clock this thing perfectly. That giant bird, that rock, that enormous red and black plumed bird of prey is apparently on patrol again, swooping around the island. And you can see that the dire shark's path is taking you directly through their territory. What do you all do?
How many creatures are we?
There are 4 of you.
We have a cat and a snake
Actual
and a
player
fish.
characters. I was getting there. Hold on. There are 4 of you actual player characters, and then there is Rutherford, who is just always at Rilla's side, and we don't question it because it's cool and fine. And then there's Snake, and then there's The
Mr.
stricken.
Bitey.
Oh, the stricken.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah, the stricken.
the cat and the snake have share spell, I assume. The cat does have share spell, Beth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that limits the targets by 2.
So
There
5
you go.
plus the fish.
Yeah, I can do
Bitey.
that.
But Mr. Bitey is supposed to be there, so that's fine.
We'll cast on Mr. Bitey just
Barreling at
because.
the island.
What are you casting,
Hide
bud?
from animals.
Fantastic.
It
That's a great spell, and exactly the spell that Rilla was talking about earlier. And good stuff.
it lasts
That's
80
just
minutes.
the first thing you do.
80?
That's nice.
80.
Yeah, 10 minutes a level. Fantastic. So, as this gigantic bird of prey comes swooping down on patrol, you can see, particularly you, Zurabak, that it does have this weird, like, wooden frame on the back of it, holding, like, 3 riders. And you are mostly covered by the swirls of ash, but there are a few openings that leave you vulnerable to being spotted. And just as this giant bird's black, void-tainted eyes sweep over the area you are coming into, you all seemingly vanish from its sight. And it passes over you all, not 80 feet over your head as you're darting forward on the back of this powerful and enormous shark.
Stupid bird.
And it swoops right over you and does not stop or send out a cry. And after a few more tense minutes of surging through the surf, you all find yourselves in the shallow waters approaching the beach of Garu, the volcanic island where the Skull Splitter family has ruled for 1,000 years. You start to get into shallow water that the shark can no longer navigate. What do you all do? You see a beach before you, the sand covered with a film of gray ash, the lush trees also coated this gray soot. It gives the entire beach this washed out, ghost-like appearance as everything is monochrome. A few of the trees and underbrush sway back and forth in the winds blowing from this firestorm, which shifts some of the ash on these trees. But yeah, you see a desolate gray beachhead in front of you. It's about 30 feet of sand, and then the tree line starts.
Before we get off the shark, I cast Pass Without a Trace as well.
Fantastic. Excellent
That's
spellcasting.
an hour per level, so 8 hours for that one.
Dope. So Zurabak pulls upon his druidic magic, the power of the wild places, and casts Pass Without Trace as well. So you can move through any type of terrain, mud, snow, dust, and the like, and leave neither footprints nor scent, and tracking you is impossible by non-magical means. Fantastic. So, you cast that on your companions, do you all hop off of Mr. Bitey?
Yes, definitely.
Goodbye, Mr. Bitey. I will always remember our time together. You'll always be one of us.
Do a couple laps. We'll be back.
Do a couple laps.
Roll. You're gonna have to. If you want this motherfucker to idle while you're gone, you're gonna need to roll another goddamn check.
Oh god! Now you have to do it.
Do a couple laps, he says. You're gonna have to roll another
Wild empathy?
thing. Yeah.
Uh,
If you want this motherfucker to idle.
20
while
altogether.
You're gone. Keep the motor running. Yeah, it's fine. You pat this thing on its head and throw some chum that you just happen to have in your bag.
Out of
in
the
its
same
mouth.
bag that keeps the stricken.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. the bag. You've only got the one bag, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Beat
It's not really a
sack.
bag. It's more of just a sack.
Yeah, you grab some chum out of the burlap sack. Stricken's like, "Oh God, help me, please!" And then you close the bag again. And you throw some chum in this thing's mouth, and yeah, it just kind of just chills out. You guys jump off and make your way through the shallow waters onto the beach, and you have the island of Garu before you. Rilla, you have a very rudimentary map. Drawn with charcoal on a piece of parchment. It shows a rudimentary sketch of a skull with a split down the middle of it, bumped up against the side of this volcano, which is the Skull Splitter Palace. And then there's like an arrow pointing to where this vent is supposed to be. But yeah, it seems like if y'all want to get to the palace, you just head to where that fucking volcano is. What do you all do?
Head towards that fucking volcano.
Yeah.
I pout.
I try to.
All right, you all head forward. You stalk up the beach and into the lush jungle that skirts this massive volcano. Because of the magics cast by the party's druid, you leave no tracks in the sand or the ash as you all make your way through. You leave no trace behind you as you stalk through this landscape. When you get under the tree cover, things are a bit more peaceful. The wind dies down a bit, blocked by the trunks of all of the palm trees, and the ash is filtered so that you're actually seeing like lush green undergrowth. A lot of the light, though, is blocked out as well. It's pretty dark under here with the cloud cover from the firestorm and also the tree cover. So the two humans that don't have dark vision, what are we doing for light?
I pull out an axe and I cast light on it.
Cool. You, Hector, I forgot a little bit that you still that you have magic. I forgot. I keep forgetting that you have magic, and it's a delightful surprise every time. So yeah, Hector.
Make one of my axes glow and hold it out like a torch.
Cool. You pull out one of your throwing axes and channel your new arcane abilities into it, and it flares with light as you hold it up in front of you, casting shadows crazily in the sprawl of bushes and trees all around you. I'm gonna need y'all to. How are we Are you guys gonna take any steps to move silently or hide yourselves? Other than the pass without trace, are we taking any steps to? Are you guys just marching through, or are we stealthing?
So does the hide from animals include humanoids or
No.
not?
No, it's literally just like actual fucking animals,
So, in theory...
not people that might be riding them.
Yeah, but they're really high up on the birds. We're in the jungle now.
How far of a walk does this seem like? Is it like a pretty long one, or can you
It's-
judge it all?
Couple miles,
And
like 2
To walk
miles.
stealthily doubles time. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, still though, 2 miles isn't that far. We could just move stealthy.
No.
We could probably get it done in 80 minutes.
Is it really that hard for you all to see? Because I feel like the light is a really bad idea.
I mean, I can't, as a human being, see in the dark. So.
Yeah, neither can Hector.
I mean, I can't. I have low light vision.
Yeah, because you're an elf.
So yeah, you can you can get by. They literally can't. It is fucking pitch black under these trees. If you want to tie strings to them and lead them through,
Yeah, but then we're like tripping on stuff and
Absolutely.
I
No,
would
we-
never trip on a single thing ever.
We did the blind Hector thing once.
yeah, I know. I was there.
I'm going to try to move silently, and I'm going to try to be stealthy. I have invisibility sphere, but I can't cast it many times, and if we're several miles away and it only lasts a round per level, it's not really worth it because I can only protect us for 2 minutes, basically.
Well, you can get everyone away from a threat, which is kind of a thing. Okay,
Right.
well, if you're going to try to move silently, roll move silently. Anyone that's trying to stealth, roll and move silently for me.
It's
like a
actually
12.
Go
pretty
for
good.
it.
12. I rolled a 4.
So that is a dirty 20.
Nice.
I rolled a 7 on the dice, which gives me a grand total of 8.
He better trip on a branch, I swear.
I would never. I'll roll a balance check right now.
Zerabak, are you even bothering?
No.
Okay. So you all make your way through the underbrush, through this pitch dark jungle under the canopy of all these trees. And you are fine for a few minutes, but the light from Hector's axe is throwing wild shadows all over the place, which is making you all just a little bit jumpy. And you hear very weird noises coming from deeper into the jungle. You hear animal cries of strange beasts that you've never heard before. They are loud and numerous and echoing through the jungle. And Ruger, you are stealthing along pretty well. I'm going to say that you went out in front of your homies a little bit because you're pretty good at this woodcraft thing. Using your ranger skills, you stalk forward to scout a little bit while the rest of your party clamors around behind you. And so you are able to spot, before it comes upon you, one of the wildest creatures you've ever fucking seen. It looks like some sort of lizard, but it is larger than a wagon. It is on 4 stout, trunk-like legs. Its enormous head is balanced by a long, tapered tail, and its head has this enormous bone plate that sticks up from the front of it. And from this bone plate are 2 enormous horns. It has another horn on its nose, over its beak-like mouth, and astride its pebbly skin are 2 Knights of the Pyre, in shining breastplates stamped with the tower wreathed in flames. They both have long swords bared, which are wreathed in fire that they're using as torches to look out into the night. You see a fucking Triceratops. Its eyes are jet black, and its mouth, its beak-like mouth is parted, and this black ooze is dripping out of the corners as it lumbers forward, knocking over trees and shrubs, looking like it's going to intercept you and your companions in just a moment. You spot this thing coming at you, and I think that's where we're going to end. Hello and welcome to As the Dice Turns, the podcast after the podcast, where we take a deep dive into our player characters' personalities, their characterizations, frustrations, and try to get a better understanding of them as people. In this part of the show, we like to ask each of our player characters a question and see if we can't reveal some unearthed bit of who they really are.
The question for today is, what is the best gift you've ever given someone? Nearly every culture has some custom involving the exchanging of gifts, whether for official ceremonies or for the celebration of our feelings for significant members of our community. I'm curious to see what each of our player characters thinks is the best gift they've ever given. We are going to start today with Rilla Longshadow. Rilla, thank you very much for coming down to the studio. We know you're always busy. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Well, I'm doing just fine, Rilla. Thank you very much for asking. I've taken the prudent move of no longer wearing the Roombas on my feet. They are keeping my studio immaculately clean, but I have seen them sort of like whispering to each other in the corners, sort of like beeping and blinking their lights at each other. I'm not sure that they're talking to each other per se, but whenever I get close to them, like they do scatter. I've also noticed them sort of like hanging out like around my bed when I wake up to go pee. So that's a little concerning, but I'm sure they're just being thorough, you know.
What? Why do they have cleaning instruments taped on top of them, like feather dusters, and that one's got a fly swatter for some reason? Like, is that an improvement you're doing, or?
Yeah, so I think that's some sort of system update. It didn't say anywhere in the owner's manual that they would come to learn how to use tools and equip them, but I'm sure there's nothing to be worried about there. I'm sure that's totally fine, and I can sleep easy knowing that the tiny robots I have cleaning my studio are communicating in clandestine cabals and arming themselves with the tools of the trade. I'm sure that's not going to turn into anything. But the question for today is, what do you think is the best present you've ever given someone?
That's another wonderful question, host. I feel like I'm always the downer because I always bring up my dead parents, but it's kind of a main point of my personality, perhaps. The loss of them, the fact that I'm raising my little sister essentially by myself. So I think the best present I've ever given, is obviously that I gave Dara the memory of her parents. And I've done that in many ways. There are specific stories I tell at certain times of the year. On her birthday, I always tell my memories of when she was born and how my parents introduced her to me. We talk about their death on their death day. As I grew in magic, I started using it to manipulate the few portraits we had of them to make them seem more realistic. I've attempted to use some low level magic to mimic their voices, to try and give her some more concrete connections to them. And I've been doing that for most of my life to reinforce real memories as best as I can make them of our parents, because Dara doesn't have any of her own to hold on to. So that is the best present.
Oh, Rilla, I have to say that's one of the most beautiful and heartwarming things that I've ever heard. The fact that you can use your magic, this thing that's made you something of a pariah, that sets you apart from your fellow elves, and use it to ease the burden your sister must feel, having never really met your parents, is a beautiful and wondrous use of your magic abilities. That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that.
The wonderful thing about adventuring and gaining skills is that the next time I see Dara, I don't have to use those low-level magics. I can just transform completely into our mom and give her a hug, which I'm going to do.
Well, really, you're going to have to excuse me for a second, because I think I'm going to have to step aside just to cry. Oh, goodness. That is so beautiful. The fact that this horrifically death-defying adventure that you and your companions are on, plumbing the depths of, the void and trying to save all of humanity from being plunged into, eternal darkness. The fact that you can pull, this sort of motivation from this horrid quest is it's just a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for sharing that with me and with our listeners. I know they appreciate it too.
Yeah, you're welcome. You do know this adventure is basically like a long vacation for me, right? Like, I don't have to be a parent for a little bit. Anyway, I'm gonna head out now.
All right, that was really long, Shadow. Next up, we've got Zurabak, the dreaded Zurabak, King of the Shocker Lizards, Champion of the Goats, Emperor of the Rats, and apparently King in exile of the Ashen Islands. Zurabak, how are you?
I see you armed your military this time.
Actually, Zurabak, the terrifying thing is that they're doing that themselves, so...
Oh, I was actually somewhat impressed. Normally you're not one to take the initiative. Because you're weak and hopeless and full of fear.
Well, Zurabak, I agree largely with that sentiment. That's fine. In any case, we're getting beside the point. The Roombas are fine. I'm sure they're not, evolving to learn tools in an attempt to overthrow me or anything like that. The question for today, Zurabak, the reason we're here is because I'm to ask you, what do you think's the greatest gift you've ever given someone?
Zurabak looks over at Sharon, points as she shakes Shaky.
Gotcha. So the best gift you've ever given anyone is the small druid you gave to Sharon, the small druid that changes forms when she shakes it. That's the best gift you've ever given anyone?
Well, I tried giving someone a piece of my homeland, but no, they rejected it because they're small-minded and full of fear.
Zurabak, I'd like to remind you that the entire reason there's an army of Roombas in my studio right now is because of that quote-unquote small piece of your homeland that ended up with me almost dying in a sinkhole in the bathroom.
Yeah, I was gonna put a little hair on your chest, but no.
Okay, I, instead of getting hair on my chest, got all of my clothes stolen, and you had to save me from an ooze. It's not a present that's like borderline torture, maybe war crimes, I'm not sure. In any case, I think that's a fair point. Let me just check. Sharon, we still like Shaky? God, wow. She's really throttling the shit out of that thing. Yeah, she still likes it. Well, okay, Zurabak, I mean, fair enough. Sharon loves the little druid, and it's a great gift. Much, much better than the swamp. So thanks for that.
Also, it reminds me how you forgot to get her a gift.
Hey, let's not talk about that. We don't need to talk about that. That birthday present that's totally Sharon, it's on its way. Get those hopes all the way up, Sharon, because that birthday present's totally on its way, and I remembered and everything. And Zurabak, you need to watch your fucking mouth, okay? You're terrifying, but I will just watch it, all right?
Coward.
Fuck. Well, okay, he got me there. In any case, bye, Zurabak. Next up, we've got the lawman Ruger Firehide. Ruger, how you doing today?
Well, host, I'm a little concerned. I don't know if you noticed, but some of your Roombas are wearing war paint.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that until you just pointed it out, but that is definitely concerning. There seem to be different factions now at this point that are like assigning themselves to different tasks. I'm sure they're not training for some sort of elaborate military attack or anything. But yeah, that's definitely not okay. I thought it was labeling at first, but it's definitely war paint. I'm really scared as to where they got it. That's the main thing that's freaking me out.
Well, is it... I'll ask the obvious question. Is it Zurabak?
I mean, hard as it is to believe, I don't think Zurabak's behind this one. He seems just as surprised as the rest of you with this change in the Roombas. It doesn't seem to be his style, though he has fucked with us like this before.
That's why I asked if it was Zurabak,
Well, we'll just say this investigation is ongoing. But for now, Ruger, the question I have for you today is, what's the best gift you've ever given someone?
That's a good question, host. Well, I would say the best gift that I've ever given anyone was the longbow that I gave my daughter Navi on her 5th birthday. A longbow that she came to cherish and really put to work. Ultimately become one of the best archers I ever knew. So it kind of helped shape her as a person. The physical practice and the mental practice required to master that weapon helped define who she was. So...
Well, that definitely sounds like an incredible gift and something that your daughter used to excellent effect until the last. I'm curious, is there anything besides the emotional connection especially significant about this bow? Is this made out of any special material or any special markings on it? Could you go into a little more detail on that?
Matter of fact, outside the town of Grimm's Hollow, there's a large whitewood tree that bow was carved out of. And the reason being is because my daughter's Navi, her grandpa, my wife Shira, her dad, he was buried beneath that tree. And I suppose it's worth mentioning now, my daughter and that bow are buried under that same tree.
Well, that seems like an incredibly fitting rest for your daughter and for your father-in-law. I'm sure they're both safely on the other side and looking down on you. That's a lovely tale and a bittersweet chapter from your life, I know. But thank you very much for your candor and for sharing that with us. Thank you very much, Ruger Firehide.
Well, host, as always, it's been a pleasure. And if you'll do me a favor, keep an eye on the Roombas.
Oh, that's definitely in the cards. Given everything that's going on with them, I don't think I can afford to give them even a moment's reprieve. Gonna have to keep up pretty tight surveillance. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on things. Next up, we've got Hector. Hector, the gatekeeper, keeper of the gates. How are you, sir?
I am doing quite well. And can I just say I'm proud of the security step up. It's a little frustrating that I had to go through the questions before I was allowed in the recording studio, but
I'm sorry, questions? You were what questions are you talking about?
that was just your basic series of security questions. I had to check my weapons at the door.
That's not I don't think
You know about this though, because it's clear because
Hector, there's no security apparatus here in the studio. As far as I know, you just walk in the front door. If something or someone is asking you questions, that's certainly not coming from me. My directive, who's asking you questions?
the security Roombas.
Yeah, Hector, we don't have security Roombas. That's not a thing that we have in the studio.
You most certainly do. I mean, most of their questions were, "Are you Zurabak?" But
Yeah, that's gonna be a Sharon, I'm gonna need to see the owner's manual for these fucking Roombas. But that's we'll deal with that a little later. Hector, the reason you're here, answering questions. Let's try to get back to our core competencies here. The question for today is, what's the best gift you've ever given someone?
the best gift I've ever given someone. I think I would have to say the time I gave my father a rock.
I'm sorry, you said a rock?
But not just any rock.
Of course, not just any rock. Shouldn't be surprised. Is this like one of those gatekeeper things?
It is indeed one of those gatekeeper things. For you see, when us of the gatekeeper clan are finishing our training to be one of the official gatekeeper guides, the final test is to cross across the entire gates to the furthest point away from Giant's Rest and retrieve a stone from the top. I completed this quest. To do so, one must travel through all of the most dangerous territories, both environmentally and creature-wise. You must display only the utmost understanding of the paths that go through the gates, and only then can one complete the trek and grab the stone.
Well, Hector, that sounds
and give to the chief of the gatekeeper clan.
Okay.
What were you saying?
I was just saying that sounds like quite the adventure you had there. This being forced to navigate the most perilous parts of your homeland to show that you are qualified to lead others through the gates. I'm sure that was an incredible moment for not only your own development, but for your father as well. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of pressure on you as the son of the chief to fulfill this obligation. I'm guessing when you came back with this, there was much celebration?
Yes, a grand festival was held in my honor. We feasted and we drank and we danced.
Well, Hector, that sounds like a roaring good time and quite in line with the little I know about gatekeeper traditions. It's a lovely story. You traversing the worst that your environment has to bring home a stone marking you as a leader and a man, I guess. That's very lovely. Thank you for sharing that, Hector.
Yeah, I gotta get back to the security desk to get my weapons. You have a good one.
Again, I cannot stress enough, that's not a security desk. We do not have security Roombas. Okay, well, until we get this all figured out, folks, thank you for listening to As the Dice Turns. Sharon and I appreciate your ears, and until next time, keep those dice turning. Hey there, dear listeners. Sam the DM here, checking in with the credits at the end of the show. First off, I want to say thank you all for your patience in waiting for us to get back to regular recording and releases. We've been going through some technical issues, namely my computer dying on me, but we are getting back to normal here and getting content recorded and putting it out back on our regular schedule. So thanks to everyone who stuck it out and is still following along with our story. Special thanks to good friend of the show and my podcast guru, Audius Prime, aka Matt Sims, for allowing me to use his incredible studio space and his hardware and even taking a pass at some of these episodes. We're utilizing some new systems and recording in new locations. This should be the last episode where things are a little rough, but moving forward, everything should be pretty smooth. All thanks to Audius Prime, friend that I'm very glad to have and who is helping us make the show here. Music for Challenge Rating 0 is provided by the Harp Wolf, Danielle Taylor Williams. You can find more of her amazing work at danielletaylorharp.bandcamp.com. She has an album out called Why Are We Surprised When Seasons Change? You should very much check that out. Additional music for the show is provided by Justin Ra. You can find more of his work as well as tour dates at justinra.com. He also has an album out called Age of the Spirit, which is a real banger. If you'd like to contact us here at Challenge Rating Zero, we've got a Facebook and an Instagram at Challenge Rating ZERO. You can email us at challengeratingzero@gmail.com, especially if you want to send in some As the Dice Turns questions. Any questions submitted by fans will be read on the show. You can hold our protagonist's feet to the fire. You can follow us on Twitter at challenge_ZERO. And if you'd like to support the show, I might recommend giving us some downloads if you're only streaming our lovely podcast, sharing it with a friend, any nerdy associates you have that may enjoy our comedy stylings. Leave us a review on iTunes, the Apple Store, whatever podcatcher you're using. If you'd like to leave us a review, that would go great for us. And we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/challenge_ZERO if you'd like to support us fungibly. I know not everyone has the ability to do that, but we'd certainly appreciate your support if you'd like to help us keep on keeping on. But in any case, thank you so much for listening, dear adventurers. We will be back here in 2 weeks with the next episode, and be safe out there. Bye.